Welcome to US Hemp TV. I'm Jonathan Miller, General Counsel for the US Hemp Roundtable, and I'm joined today by one of the true heroes of the US hemp industry, and particularly a hero for California farmers, California businesses, and California consumers, and that's Assemblywoman Cecilia Aguiar-Curry. Assemblywoman, thanks so much for joining us on US Hemp TV.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the honor to chat with you.
Well, it's our honor, and I mention you as a hero because we have, as an industry, gone through the last 3.5 years working arm to arm with you on what ultimately became the passage of AB 45, legislation that explicitly legalizes the sale of hemp-derived products like CBD and does it in a way that's responsible and promotes regulation and clear labeling and transparency and everything that we promote as a US Hemp Roundtable and as an industry. And you have been not just with us from the beginning, but have played a critical leadership role in introducing the bill, authoring the bill, amending the bill, and ultimately securing its passage. So first of all, before I get to my really tough questions, I want to thank you for all that you've done. And I speak for thousands of hemp folks who want to thank you for all that you've done.
Well, let's remember, we did, I think, a good framework for our bill. And, just like any policy that we work on, we hope it only gets better. And we'll continue to work on it because there are some issues that are still outstanding that people are asking us about. But I just want to assure you that I have completely still an open mind on how we can get to some of those tough conversations that people had, but we'll get there. And I'm excited that where we are today.
Right. We'll get to some of that, but kind of want to start off, you kind of give us some background as to, why you did this. What was your goal for, it was originally AB 228, now AB 45. Why did you get into this fight?
I got into the fight because I do quite a few bills on consumer protection and trying to make sure how products are run, but primarily is that I'm a small farmer. And I knew that as we went through the farm bill went through in 2018, that it opened the door for California to actually start growing hemp. And then the other side of it was like, so once you grow it, now what do we do with it? And it was, we had quite a few conversations of like, oh my gosh, it's not really, we can't really do much with it here in California. And then I started seeing the product, whether it was hemp lotions, whether it was, drinks or whatever the case might be. I thought, is this legal? And is it been tested? And all those questions that come up as a consumer. And lo and behold, I realized that we really didn't have any testing protocols for the product. And I really wanted to make sure I always look for economic development. And I thought it'd be a prime thing is that the state of California, that once we grow it, we can actually do production or whatever we could do here in California. So that was kind of where it started. And it started from the fact that I did a speech in a room full of senior citizens, and the senior citizens were asking my bill package. And I said, well, I don't know if any of you know what CBD is. And I get this chuckle throughout the room. And I was telling them about, the products, and that many of them are saying, well, I use something for my leg, my joints, and, so on and so forth. And I started giggling, and ends up being, I said, well, so how many of you ever used a CBD product? And almost everybody's hand went up. and it dawned on me, let's see, that they were all probably going to college in the 60s and 70s. So they probably have tried pretty much everything.
That's right. So,
I knew that there was a need, and I knew that we needed to make sure that it was safe, it had been tested, and it had good labeling. And that's how that all came about.
Great. Well, so we I think we approached it maybe 3.5 years ago. This all started when California Department of Public Health came out with guidance arguing that it was illegal to sell CBD as an ingestible product. They expanded that to topical products, and we saw raids going on all over the state. So it was a roller coaster ride for 3 years where we thought we might get a pass, and then we didn't. And so what were the particular high points for you, and what any low points as well that you want to mention about that journey?
Well, the journey has been very interesting. First of all, I was surprised with the level of support during this time with you, as well as the Hemp Roundtable, with the support on trying to make sure that we had a good product out there as we all tried to purport. I wanted to make sure that we were taking advantage of the science that's out there on it, and that I wanted to make sure that we had the high points for making sure that small farmers could actually produce hemp and actually get it to a site for production. And the other ones was like, I think that we could expand our retail markets. So those kinds of things got me excited about as we move forward. But it's been, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's been a tough road. And there was many discussions. We were hoping to get this bill through last year, but with the pandemic, we really had to hold off. There was a lot of good things that came out of this bill. And it also had, the things that came good out of this bill was the fact that we were working with the cannabis industry as well and having tough discussions with them as well and trying to figure out integration. So there's a lot of good things that came out of this, but I'll tell you what, I've never negotiated so hard as we did on this, and rightfully so, absolutely rightfully so. The hardest part was with this bill is that I was personally attacked. And I do really good policy, and I realize when people get upset with maybe I don't necessarily agree, but to be personally attacked is not something that goes well, and it quite frankly kind of shuts me down for a while until I can kind of find the good out of what maybe somebody was trying to relay to me, but didn't do it in the best manner.
Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a recovering politician. I was the state treasurer of Kentucky for 2 terms, and I'm never getting back into politics. And one of the reasons why is I'm tired of all of the nastiness and the personal attacks. And so really big kudos to you for putting up with it. And it was deeply unfair for you to get personally attacked on this or any other issue. Yeah. You've got to have a tough skin to be an assembly person in California particularly, and we really appreciate you taking the flack and doing the right thing. And so what do you think of, you brought this up earlier, next year's going to be a big year for this. The bill is great, but it's a product of compromise. Right. You and I agree that we don't agree with 100% of everything that wound up in the bill, and there's still improvements to be made. What do you want to focus on next year in ways of strengthening what we've accomplished during the passage?
I think we'll agree. The thing we didn't get through is the integration piece, and that's a big piece. We need to make sure we can deal with that. I think there's a good opportunities once we get through the integration piece, which we didn't do this year. But I am committed, and as I've told you and others that are working on this with us on this bill, is that we will get through that. And the other portion that was difficult was the smokables. I know some of the small farmers are pretty upset that we didn't get the smokable piece in this year, but we really have to be really thoughtful with the smokable portion because there will be a tax on that. And not everybody wants to hear about a tax, but I can't very well say in the cannabis industry, you have to have a tax and then say hemp doesn't. So we're trying to find it's a fine line. And so we need to reevaluate both the cannabis side as well as the hemp side. And I need to convince some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, because the minute you say tax, their hair stands up. But we have to have a thoughtful conversation, which I think we'll do a really good job of that if we sit at the table together early on and walk through the steps to how we can get that done. I know that my gut is that we would not get this bill through. If it had smokables in this year with a tax, I don't think we would get it signed. So I wanted to make sure that we had to figure out the policy so that the governor will sign it. And there's also the political side of it that we always have to deal with, but we will get there. It just is going to have to be thoughtful. And I need to bring some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to the table as we try to get the policy through.
What would you like to see? We still have some folks that worked really hard to try to kill the bill for a long time, and now are complaining about it. They're unfortunately, people are sort of making up stuff about what the bill does and doesn't do, but are legitimately feel aggrieved about the smokables issue. What would you like to say to them about what they should be doing, if anything, constructively to help us get to a place where we want to all be next year?
There's no doubt about it that I heard them loud and clear, and that our intentions is to work with them. I'd like to have them at the table and have the discussion of how do we get there, right? How do I get there so that makes them happy as well? I know in my heart of hearts we can do it. It just takes time. And they want their voices heard, rightfully so. But again, is that I know there's profit from the smokables. We'll get there for them. It's just a matter of discussion, mainly because of the tax piece. And as you know, is that I can't very well say, well, we're not going to tax hemp, because I'll have the cannabis people upset. So we got to really think that through. And I told them before, I've told others that we will get there. And that's my goal. That is our goal.
I can attest to anybody that wants to ask that when this assemblywoman says that we're going to get there, we're going to get there. She fights tooth and nail over it, and it might take a lot longer than we hope. But you got us here. You got us to the promised land, particularly where it comes to ingestible CBD products, and we couldn't be more grateful to you for doing that. So thank you again for your leadership on this.
Well, it's a pleasure to work on these. They're tough bills, and good policy takes time. And when I first came on board, just like any green a politician is that we think you get things done quickly. You have committees to go through. So we have, we'll have some hurdles to go through. I'll have to go through numerous committees to get those bills through, but we'll get there. And I can ask is that those that are wishing that I would have had the smokables in, I want you to come to the table, have a discussion, and give me some ideas on how we can get there. Okay, I'm open.
Terrific. Well, again, Representative Cecilia Aguiar-Curry, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for joining us for this episode of USHempTV. And we look forward to working with you next year on the smokable piece, on making sure the regulations in California are fair, and taking whatever steps we need to strengthen the hemp industry from the ground up in California. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I have one last thing to say. The most important thing with Bill is what's the problem? How do you fix it? Most important, how do you implement it? We will get this all implemented. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you again. And thanks to our viewers, US Hemp TV. We'll be back with more great guests in the coming weeks ahead.
Thank you, Jonathan.